The sound of laughter filled the school hallway. Cruel, echoing, endless. Emma stood in the middle of it all, her trembling hands clutching her white cane. She couldn't see their faces, but she didn't have to. She could feel their smirks in the air, like tiny daggers pricking at her skin. Someone whispered, "How can she even find her locker? Maybe she smells it." Another voice followed with a snicker. "Careful, she might bump into you again." Her throat burned. Her eyes that saw nothing, still filled with tears. She wanted to disappear. She wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. But before she could move, her cane slipped from her hand and clattered to the floor. The laughter grew louder. She knelt, fumbling to find it, her fingers brushing cold tile, her breath quick and uneven. Then, a calm, gentle voice broke through the chaos. "Here," he said softly. A rough, calloused hand lifted the cane and placed it into hers. It was Mr. Thomas, the janitor, the man everyone ignored, the man who moved like a shadow through the halls. And in that small moment, when the entire world seemed to mock her, one stranger's kindness became a spark she didn't expect. If this moment already moved you, stay with us, because what began in a school hallway that day would soon become the most beautiful sunrise of Emma's life. Before that morning in the hallway, Emma's world was already small, a world built on sound, touch, and silence. She was 17, born blind, and had spent most of her life in a world where she constantly felt like she had to apologize for existing. Every day started the same. The alarm clock's vibration under her pillow, the careful steps through the familiar creaks of her small apartment, her mother's soft voice saying, "You've got this, sweetheart." And then, the bus ride, that endless bus ride filled with whispers she couldn't see but could feel. At school, the air always felt heavy. She heard the shuffle of shoes when she passed, the quick laughter that followed, and the pity in the teacher's tone when she stumbled. Emma wasn't just blind. She was invisible and exposed all at once. The world around her had decided she was different, and somehow that meant less. But there was something about her they never saw, her hands. They could feel stories in every texture. When she touched clay, she could sense curves and life. When she brushed across paper, she imagined skies she had never seen. Inside her was a longing she couldn't describe, a longing to see beauty, not with her eyes, but with her heart. At home, she'd sit by her window every evening, face tilted toward the warmth of the setting sun. She couldn't see it, but she felt it, the way it touched her skin, soft and fleeting, like a secret whisper. That was her connection to the world she could never fully grasp. And still, she dreamed of color, of what blue might sound like, of what red might feel like on her fingertips, of what a sunrise might mean when you've never seen one. But dreams can only survive so long in a place that mocks them. And that's why, the day the janitor stopped her in that hallway, something shifted. For the first time, someone didn't see her as broken. He saw her as unfinished. Because what Emma didn't know was, that janitor once painted the sky for someone who couldn't see it either. It happened on a rainy Tuesday, one of those mornings where the sky sounded heavy, and every voice in the hallway echoed like a storm cloud. Emma was walking carefully, her cane tapping gently against the floor, when someone bumped into her, hard. Her books fell. Papers scattered. Laughter rippled down the hallway. "Watch where you're going, Emma," a voice teased, the kind that sounded like a smirk. Her hands trembled as she knelt, searching blindly across the cold tiles. She could feel every whisper, every snicker, every eye watching her fumble. But then, through the noise, came a different sound, old boots and the quiet clatter of a mop bucket being pushed aside. A deep, gentle voice broke through the laughter. "Hey," it said softly, "let's pick these up together." The hallway went silent. Emma froze. It wasn't pity, it was kindness. She felt a calloused hand gently guide hers to a notebook. His touch was careful, slow, like he'd spent a lifetime learning not to break fragile things. When she finally found the courage to speak, her voice wavered. "Thank you, you don't have to." "I know," he interrupted gently. "But I want to." She tilted her head toward his voice. "You're the janitor, right?" He chuckled, the kind of laugh that comes from someone who's lived a long, quiet life. "That's what they call me, but you can call me Mr. Lewis." Something about that moment lingered. He didn't rush her, didn't stare, didn't whisper. He just helped, and then said something no one ever had before. "You've got strong hands, Emma. You ever use them to make something beautiful?" She smiled faintly, caught off guard. "I try. I like to sculpt. Good," he said, standing up and picking up the last paper. "Then maybe one day, you'll teach me how to see the world like you do." As he walked away, she felt something strange, a flicker of warmth in her chest, like the first ray of sunlight breaking through a dark room. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. But what Emma didn't know was that Mr. Lewis was about to change her life in ways even he didn't expect. The next few weeks turned into quiet rituals, small moments that stitched their worlds together. Every morning before classes started, Emma would find Mr. Lewis sweeping near her locker, humming old jazz tunes that made the world feel less cruel. He started placing small notes in Braille on her desk. Simple things. "You're doing great. The world needs the way you see it." She never knew how he learned Braille, until one morning she asked. He smiled softly, wringing his mop. "Had a daughter once," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "She lost her sight when she was little. I learned so she'd never feel left out." Emma froze. "Had?" she asked gently. He paused, eyes heavy, jaw tight. "She's gone now. Car accident. Years ago." The silence that followed carried more weight than any words could. And for the first time, Emma reached out and touched his hand, the way he had done for her that day in the hallway. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. He squeezed her fingers. "Me too, kiddo. But seeing you, it's like getting a second chance to do something right." That was the first emotional turn, two broken souls quietly healing through shared pain. The second turn came one afternoon in the art room. Emma was shaping clay with delicate precision, her hands guided purely by feeling, when Mr. Lewis stopped by to deliver supplies. He stood quietly, mesmerized, watching her fingers dance over the clay like they could see what her eyes could not. "What are you making?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "A sunrise." He chuckled softly. "You've never even seen one." Her head tilted. "Maybe not with my eyes. But I've felt it. Warmth on my skin, light on my face. That's what I'm sculpting. The feeling of being found." Mr. Lewis swallowed hard. "You know," he said, his voice trembling just slightly, "you remind me a lot of her." She turned toward his voice. "Your daughter." He nodded. "Yeah." She used to say the same thing. That sight is more than seeing. Their shared laughter filled the quiet art room. For the first time, neither of them felt broken. But just as hope started to blossom, the principal's voice echoed from the door. "Mr. Lewis, can I have a word?" He stepped aside, nervous. Emma couldn't see the principal's face, but she could hear the sharp tone. "We've received complaints about you spending too much time with a student. Keep your distance, or we'll have to reconsider your position." The sound of that door closing felt like thunder. Emma's hands trembled over her clay sunrise, as if the light she'd been shaping was slipping away again. And just like that, the man who had helped her see the beauty in the dark was told he didn't belong in her light. Days passed, and Mr. Lewis didn't come to school. The halls felt colder, the laughter crueler. Emma sat alone during lunch, tracing her fingers over the table, waiting for that familiar sound of his keys jingling down the hall. But it never came, until one rainy afternoon. She was walking home slowly, cane tapping against puddles, when she heard it, that same humming. A low, broken tune she knew by heart. It was coming from behind the park gates. "Mr. Lewis," she called out softly. No answer, just the soft scrape of a broom against concrete. She followed the sound, step by careful step, until she reached the old bus shelter. And there he was, sweeping rainwater off the ground, his uniform damp, his face older somehow. "Emma," he blinked in disbelief. "You shouldn't be out here." "I came to find you," she said, her voice trembling. "Why did they make you leave?" He sighed, setting the broom aside. "It wasn't just that, Emma. I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place." Her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, torn between silence and truth. Then he pulled a folded letter from his pocket, the paper worn and soft from years of being held. He placed it gently in her palm. "It's from the hospital," he said quietly. "I was supposed to retire years ago. After the accident, after my daughter passed, I couldn't stay anywhere too long. I lost my home, my savings, my will." Emma froze. "You were homeless?" He nodded. "The principal didn't know. I took the janitor job under a false name. I just needed to feel useful again, to feel like she was still here, through you." The rain fell harder, the world suddenly quieter. Emma reached out and found his face, her fingers tracing the lines carved by years of grief and kindness. "You helped me see the world," she whispered, "when everyone else turned away." His breath caught. "And you helped me live again, Emma. You were the light I thought I'd never find." But then came the hardest truth, the one that broke her heart and healed it all at once. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small, worn sketch pad. "This belonged to my daughter. She used to draw things she could only imagine, sunsets, oceans, skies she'd never see." He placed it in her hands. "I want you to finish it." Her lip trembled. "Finish it." He smiled faintly. "Yeah, paint the sunrise she never got to see. So maybe both of you finally can." Tears streamed down her face, unseen but deeply felt. And in that moment, under the storm, she finally understood. The world doesn't need perfect vision to create beauty, just two hearts willing to see each other in the dark. But Emma didn't know that the art competition that was days away, and one final act would change both their lives forever. The morning of the competition arrived with a sky painted in shades of gold, the kind of light Emma could only imagine, but somehow always felt. She sat in the art room alone, the sketch pad open before her. Her fingers ran gently over the paper, tracing every empty space, every half-finished stroke left by a girl she never met, Mr. Lewis's daughter. Beside her, a small audio player clicked on, one of those old recorders he used to play soft jazz from. But this time, it wasn't music. It was his voice. "Emma," he said quietly through the crackle, "if you're hearing this, I probably didn't get the chance to say goodbye properly. Don't let my story make you sad. Let it make you see. Because seeing isn't about eyes, it's about heart." Her tears fell freely as she picked up the brush. Each stroke was hesitant at first, but then grew steady, confident, alive. She painted with her hands, feeling the colors through texture, through memory. The roughness of the sunrise's clouds, the smoothness of light over calm water, the warmth she imagined spilling across the horizon, the light she believed her teacher's daughter would have dreamed of. The judges watched in silence. The students, the same ones who once mocked her, now stood still, unable to laugh. Because in front of them wasn't just art. It was emotion made visible. And when she lifted her hands, her painting, messy, imperfect, radiant, looked like dawn itself. A single tear rolled down the principal's cheek. This is beauty," he whispered. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, Emma sat on the same bench where she and Mr. Lewis used to talk. The air was cool, the wind gentle. She clutched the ribbon she'd won, first place. But that wasn't what mattered. What mattered was that somewhere, somehow, she felt him there. She whispered softly, "We did it, Mr. Lewis. We painted her sunrise." And in that moment, as the last ray of sunlight kissed her face, Emma smiled for the first time in years. because she realized that kindness doesn't just change people. It paints light into the parts of the world we thought were gone forever. They laughed at the blind girl, and they never noticed the janitor. But in their silence, they found something the world forgets: the power to see beyond what eyes can hold. Maybe that's what love really is: seeing someone's light before they see it themselves. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to SoulTwist Stories, where every soul finds its light again.